Hello, Morongo Basin and listeners around the world online at Z107.7 FM.com. This is your Z107.7 Local News for Sunday, April 12th, 2026. Local author and journalist Kurt Schauppner has released his latest book called The Trick of Singularity, a fictional novel that follows main character Nathan Lee through the shadow side of love with enough humor to let the light in. Reporter Gabriel Hart sat down with Schauppner and Rich Seuss of Choya Needles to discuss the novel's introspective themes. Here's Gabe.
Kurt A. Schauppner has written the novels Shards of Broken Glass, The First Book of Exile, and Ghosts of Ide County, along with his story collection Songs Without Words. When asked what sets his new novel, The Trick of Singularity, apart from his previous work, Schauppner said,
This one has a little more autobiography in it. Although it's not directly about me, it has a lot of elements of me in it, which I've never done before, and some of it cuts pretty close. You can learn a lot more about Kurt than you ever wanted to know. It's fiction, but like I said, I steal a lot from my real life. My main character, Nathan Lee, has a lot in common with me. Imagine me about 10 years from now. I might end up a lot like Nathan Lee.
Schauppner says the narrative arc begins at the end of Lee's life in an assisted living home, where he's contemplating the end of life for himself and his friends. The novel then goes back in time to his life as a working man, before it goes even further back to the beginning of why Lee became a, quote, grumpy old fart. When asked about some of the more glaring similarities between the author and main character, Schauppner explained,
Well, we're both gay. We both had a one true love in our life that we lost. We both have spent many years in relationships that turned out to be just shadows of that first relationship, and which caused a lot of pain and suffering for all the people who were involved. When you find out that the person you love can never truly love you back, that's not a good thing. And I did that to a lot of people. And Nathan did that as well.
Schauppner says the main theme of The Trick of Singularity is that, quote, everything ends and there's nothing we can do about it. And while his heavy self-examination through fiction might sound doomed with existential dread, Schauppner is insistent that its tragic elements are not without comedy.
No, I definitely intended to put some humor into it. No matter what I'm writing, I know that I'm going to go dark, and I don't want to bludgeon the audience too much, so I throw some humor in there just to liven things up. It's a long tradition of doing that in literature.
Schauppner's publisher, Rich Seuss of Choya Needles, said it was a no-brainer to do a third book with him.
I have a mother-in-law in an old folks home, so there were scenes in there that were just perfect. I mean, it felt so real. And Kurt mentioned about the relationships. You know, we've all had those kind of relationships, and it's just, again, a reality in language, and I think it's a story that anybody will read and understand.
Schauppner is also a songwriter who will be performing at this year's High Desert Fringe Festival on Saturday, April 18th, and will have copies of the new novel for sale. The Trick of Singularity is available to purchase through choyaneedles.com. Reporting for Z107.7 News, I'm Gabriel Hart.
Thanks, Gabe. You can find links to everything mentioned here as well at our website, Z107.7FM.com. And that's your local news for Sunday. Reporting for Z107.7 News, I'm Robert Hayden.